Work tales. Work tales. Woo-hoo.
All right, everybody, and welcome back to Work Tales. Woo-hoo. I'm going to sync that up. Don't even worry about it. Okay. Welcome back to the
Hello there.
what is the first episode. And we got three of us probably be the main players that'll be on
And
here every
Craig.
week. Yeah, and Craig. Well, Craig is our recorder. He handles the recording for us. But
Yep.
we got Con Bon Jovi in here, my
Hey, what's
sister
up?
from another mister,
The outlaw.
the outlaw. And we got
You
my
know
man's Rob Revenge. Joey, what's up with
going
you?
on? Not much, man.
All right,
How's
man.
everybody doing today?
Good,
You know,
good.
I'm
Got my
all right.
coffee.
Right.
Good.
I didn't even
Good.
eat no coffee, but I'm okay. I got
Hey, man,
I got
a
some
quick
weed,
story
though.
here.
So
Hear this
that
out.
counts.
Speaking of what kind of day you're having, so my first day when I worked at a brand new theater with Lord Magnus, we were walking down the hallway, and I was feeling all good, trying to find my way in the new theater, and walking down the hallway. Hey, how you doing? Have a good day. And the guy looks me dead in the eyes and goes, "Don't tell me what kind of fucking day to have." And I was like, "Okay, then." And walked away.
But that theater was wild. Like, I'm gonna tell you. But look, before we get too deep, so we're gonna like theme out these episodes, right? So this week we're gonna talk about our hiring stories. So our first, when we got hired at a movie theater or orientation or something like that happened with us when we first got started in the industry. And you know what, Connor? I mean, it was your idea. We will start with you. So why don't you go ahead and give us the first tale? What you got for us?
Okay, so I was actually working at Pier 1 at the time.
I remember
And
that.
I had
Pier
been,
1. Oh, my God.
yeah, I was actually a seasonal employee that I guess they liked. And so they brought me on, kept promising management, it didn't really work out. And so I was like, I'm going to move on. And I got this call because I put an application in because we used to frequent this theater at the Dub C on our dates. And my boyfriend at the time was like,
Well
"Hey, why
done.
don't you apply there?" And I was like, "Yeah, okay, let's try." And so I did. I heard back, I think, like 24 hours later. So I actually like put my picture on the resume. I don't know.
It's a glamour shot.
Let me tell you
Y'all,
something.
I don't know.
Let me tell you.
I don't know if
Go
it
ahead.
helped. I'm not saying I'm beautiful or anything, but I think it may have helped.
I'm gonna tell you right now because she gonna get to it because I was the one that actually interviewed her, right? Like I'm the one that
Yeah.
actually like picked her. It did help because I had never seen anybody put their picture on a resume. Like I remember I think it was Justin Testa, and it came across, or Joe, you might have been there, Joey. I don't remember, but I was like, this girl put her picture on the resume.
I do remember.
Never.
I do remember. I was hoping this would come up because if it didn't, I was going to bring it up. She put her picture on her resume.
Yeah, and I'm like, you know what?
Like she was auditioning for a movie or something.
Yeah. And that's how I was like, man, she's serious about wanting to work at this theater. She done put a headshot on the resume. I'm gonna call her. She gonna get the interview.
I remember if you showed
know-
up in a t-shirt and jeans, I would tell you I'm not going to interview you. But if you showed up wearing nice clothes, I would hire you. And if you put your picture on the resume, I would hire you.
I mean, yeah, like it definitely, because I never said it definitely worked.
Stand
Like
out.
it
It's
definitely
like,
was.
okay.
Yeah, it was stand out.
All
yeah.
right, you
All right,
can.
go ahead,
It
Connor. I'm
worked.
sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
No,
Go ahead.
it's totally fine because actually, I mean, that was the day of the Microsoft Word template.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's when you would just say, "Okay, I want to create a resume." Oh, you have 500 choices. Oh, this one has a picture? That's
Yep.
weird.
Oh,
Screw it.
let me
Let's
see what
try
kind of
one. I
border
have
I
a good
want
one.
to put on this resume. Yeah, you could really
Right,
glamour
like,
up your resume. Yeah.
yeah, it was like glamour shots, like you said. So anyway,
Yeah.
no, yeah, I wasn't trying to be any weird type of way. I just thought, screw it, whatever. And so I got a call. I come into the theater. I'm super stoked. Come into the theater, and I meet Lord Magnus, Terrence Johnson. My brother
That's
from another
me.
mother. Yes.
I know that
And
guy.
I felt
That guy owes me
so
80
good
bucks.
in that interview. We just vibed right away. It was just good energy. And then he was like, "Hey, can you give me a couple minutes?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." And he leaves the room. And then here comes the GM at the time, and he comes in and he asked me like 2 questions, and then he's like, "All right, well, we'd like to offer you a job." And I'm like, "Heck yeah."
What did you start
And
as? You didn't start as a manager, did you?
yeah.
No, she did. Yeah, she came in
You
as
did?
yeah.
Assistant manager.
Yep.
Okay.
Mhm.
Nice.
Yeah. And it was actually pretty funny because after that interview, I was like, "Oh yeah." That GM at Pier 1, I was like, "Ooh, shove it." I
Yeah.
was like, "Yeah, I got hired on as
Take
a
your
manager, gonna
cheap
be
little
making like
trinkets and
2
shove
more."
them right up your ass.
Right, I was
This-
gonna be making like $2 more an hour than what she would have hired me as a manager, and I was like,
And you were
"Yeah, it's a
seasonal.
great
Yeah.
opportunity, I can move up." She's like, "Oh, okay." She just did not want to see me succeed. Some people are like that, you know?
Yeah. Well, fuck her.
But
That's the truth.
yeah, that's all right.
Like
Yeah. So
that, and you know what?
that's my story. I don't know if you have anything to add on to that about the actual interview, because I
So
know you left for like 5 minutes and then Beck came in.
yep.
Oh, sorry,
So I left. No, Jason will probably
It's okay, Connor. I
and that's
hear
what I'm
you.
saying. Yeah. It was saying no, that's what I'm saying. Saying the names of the people that's going to end up on here, that stuff is cool because they're gonna be on here. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I'm talking about, outsiders. But that's just a personal preference. But like I said, I don't give a
right.
fuck. So I'm not gonna say nothing on here that I wouldn't say to nobody's face.
Mm.
But going to your interview, it was wonderful. It was definitely one of the better interviews that I've had. And you're right, we just vibed. So my interview style is very different from most people because most people get you in the rooms and they be super serious and they try to sweat you out and all this other shit. And I hate that.
Mhm.
I just
I
want
hate
the person
that
to be
too.
relaxed
Yeah.
because the front that people put up at those type of interviews where they try to sweat you out, that's not what that person is going to be on a day-to-day, right? So when I interview
Mhm.
somebody, I want to see what am I going to get from you on a day-to-day? What am I going to see from you when I come into work? So I try to make it
Right.
just a conversation. We just
I used
meet
to
as
put
two people talking.
popcorn in there so they could eat popcorn during the interview because you're gonna be doing that a
Oh,
lot if you
wow.
work there.
Well,
Yeah,
that
I'd
is
be like,
very
"Hey, do you
true.
want a soda?" Yeah,
That is which is wild because I don't even like popcorn, and I worked at the movie
that's
theater
like a
for so long.
movie theater Thanksgiving dinner is a plastic nacho container full of popcorn with buttered salt and butter on it, and then a 9-ounce courtesy cup full of cherry Coke. It's like Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
You know,
We're
it's
all
funny
working
that
together.
you say that
Yeah.
about like handing the water and the popcorn. I had 2 other interviews that I had done in the past with my other job. I'm not going to say who I work for, but it's a major US airline. And my first interview, just getting hired with them, the face to face, they had little bottles of water. And, I was just always like, "Oh, yeah, you don't, be friendly, you be you, you do your thing." I was sweating. I drank 4 bottles of water
I feel
just
like
to
this
give
girl's
me
a camel.
time,
We're about to hire a camel.
just to give me time to help me think of my responses because I wanted that job so bad. I did get hired for those of you that don't know me. So this is actually like, yeah. So then I had an interview within that company for another position, which is a specialty position for charters and for major sporting corporations. And I aced that one. But let me tell you, at the end of that interview, I said, "You know what?" They had like little fun size Snicker bars on the table. And I said, "Hey, are those up for grabs?"
So,
And they said, "Yeah." I said, "You know what? I feel like this went great. To take one." And I took it and I walked out. I said, "Y'all have a great day." And guess what? I got the job. Now
nice.
I fly around these top athletes because I
You're
took
like,
the Snickers.
I opened the Snickers, made eye contact with them, and threw the wrapper on the ground, popped it in my mouth, and said, "Y'all have a good day." And I walked out, and they hired me.
Yeah, they were like, you know what? I
Anyway,
like the cut of her jib.
What moxie?
Yeah.
so So anyway, not that it's about that other company that I work for, but yeah, it's just funny how these things all sort of like just mesh
No,
together.
and you know what?
Yeah.
That and that's actually one of the things that I'm gonna do with this, and that's why this isn't called anything specifically about the movie theater. This is gonna be
Yeah.
about whatever work tales. You know what I mean? If you got a funny
Right.
story that happened at work, nigga, put that out there. Let's talk about it. You know what I mean? Because I got a ton. You know what I mean? So we'll get a lot of different people
Okay.
in here from a lot of different stories. So it'll be a good time.
Yeah.
But
Oh yeah.
Terrence, you should tell your hiring story.
Yes.
did I? Oh, okay.
I got a good
Okay.
story for after you got hired and you met me for the first time and you were like, what the fuck?
Okay, so when I went for my interview at the WC, so
Who did you interview with?
I interviewed with Warren. I mean, we can say that because
Okay.
they ain't gonna put it
Mm,
together.
yeah,
So yeah,
yeah.
I and initially I loved the guy, but after
Yeah.
we fell out, like he and I are
Yeah.
not friends, but that's fine.
Yeah. Me and
That's a
him are
story
not
for
friends.
another day. That's a
That's
tale for
several
another day.
stories. That's several stories for several days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I went in for this interview, and so at the time I was a lot younger, but I was a young married father. I think I had 2 kids at the time.
You were what? Probably 22, 23?
Something like that. Yeah, it was something like that.
I turned 21 working in the movie. I started in 2004.
Oh wow.
And I think you started there like 2 or 3 years after me.
Yeah, it was 2006, I think, because I started the year, because I tell people this all the time, which is it's really no longer true, because
It was dark times before you guys showed up. I'm going to tell you that. You guys changed the whole thing. Yeah.
Dark
It was awesome.
Before
it
the
Empire.
Really Hey, can I say something really quick too? Last episode, I said 72 millimeter for IMAX instead of 70 millimeter. I'm an idiot. I said the wrong thing.
That's all right. You're good.
Yeah.
Duly
I'm
noted.
correcting myself before
Right,
people
that's all
yell
right.
at me in the comments or something.
And that probably would happen.
Don't
But all right,
go for
because I
silly.
went in here. Right. So I went into this interview, and I like Connor, I was super nervous. And this was actually back when I was at my heaviest. I've lost almost like 150 pounds now, but this was at my heaviest. I was super big. I was sweaty all the time. Oh
It was
my
all
God,
power.
it was rough. Yeah, wow. Yeah, I was really the kingpin out there. It was really all muscle.
Yeah.
That's really all it was.
Yeah, and I would have never messed with you.
So nervous. I was so nervous. And he took me up to the office, and we sat down. And so the way I approach an interview, like I just said, the way I interview somebody as a conversation, that's also the way I react to them. So even though inside I'm super nervous, outwardly I'm very chill. Like I went in there, I sat down, I kind of crossed my legs and got comfortable, and I sat back in the chair, and I approached it like a conversation. He asked me because he was the very serious type of interview with the whole, tell me about yourself type of thing, and all of that. But I turned it into a back and forth. So even in that, I kind of switched it around and made him like say stuff about him, and then turned it more into a conversation instead
As
of
you do.
like an interrogation. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So, so I left up out of there, and I was like, man, I feel like that went really well, but I don't know. And sure enough, man, I got a call. Like I think he called that day. If not that day, it was the next day. No, you know what? It was a couple days, because he interviewed somebody else after me, and then I came to find out later there was a difference in our interview styles, and he was amazed that I made it as far as I did there than the other guy, because the other guy was a more serious interviewer, which is funny because I have stories about that dude, because he was a LARPer. I can't remember his name, but
I know who you're talking about. He's the guy that introduced us.
Oh, wait,
I don't remember. He didn't work there for very long. He wasn't
know.
there for long. He wasn't there for long before you started, and he wasn't long there after.
Yeah, because I remember he quit.
I know who you're
he had glasses. About. Okay, yeah, okay, yeah. Okay,
he had really bad.
He had
really. I hate saying this, but he had really bad acne.
Yeah. I can't remember his name, so it's whatever. But yeah, so I mean, I ended up getting the job.
Well, it's ironic because he was like, I LARP as an elf, and I was like, elves don't have acne in my brain, and that's how I remember that.
I mean,
Like elves
elves normally are.
Yeah, elves
Yeah.
don't have
Oh
acne.
man.
I'm sorry.
They're normally pretty fair
Anyway.
skinned. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I remember he took me out to his trunk. He was like, "Yeah, man, I got my LARPing stuff in the trunk." And I actually, and some people know this about me, some don't. And actually, I know we have some tales about this, but
You met two really
I'm a
nerdy
pretty
people
big
your
nerd.
first day.
I did, yeah, I did.
Your first day, you were not ready for that, I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I was not. I wasn't expecting it, but I am a nerd. So like LARPing sounded interesting. I would totally LARP if I had a group of people. Like I'm not just going to show up at a spot and be like, "Hey, I want to LARP," because I'm, a large black man, and it predominantly would be a bunch of white people. And if I walk up there like, "Hey, can I get a spot?" They're gonna be like, "You know what? I don't know." Like so,
They would
You
tuck
could be
their
bandit
tails and
number
run away.
4.
exactly. They're gonna be like, I need a group, so I need some friends to go with. So, but he took me
They're
out
gonna
to
give
his
you
trunk. Go
A
ahead.
burlap vest and a club and be like, "You're bandit number 4."
Right.
I show up with this beard and they're like, "All right, you're the second bandit." And I'm like, "Damn it."
No, you're always the prospector. It doesn't matter. Always the
right.
prospector.
You're the town's prospector. That's
I'm always
your
looking for
role.
gold. You got gold in your pockets? Give it to me.
But yeah, in his trunk he had like his LARPing sword and shield and stuff in there. And I'm like, oh wow, okay. Yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, no, that's my hiring story, man. It's crazy. Joey, what's your story? What you got? What happened?
Hang on. So they brought Terrence upstairs. This guy, this LARPing dude, brought Terrence upstairs, and I'm sure you walked by my wall of heroes and villains and were like, "What in the fuck?" And they brought you up to me at a projector, and I was threading it. And he's like, "Hey, this is Terrence," and this is how I met my best friend. Hey, this is Terrence. He's super into D&D. And I was like, "Oh, I'll have to show you some of my stuff sometime." And I threaded it really quick and was like, "Hey, come here and look at this." And I showed you this book that I was making, and you looked through it, and I could tell you were like, "What in the fuck is this?" And I was like, "Okay, never mind." So anyways, and that's how we became friends. It's because I was like, "Oh, this is too nerdy for him." Okay.
I could have sworn I loved that book that you
You told me years later, you were like, "Yeah, I thought you were fucking crazy."
Oh, okay. All right. Well, you know what? Because some of your pictures, because some of your little sketches and stuff, because I don't know if you still do that,
They
but
were
yeah,
weird.
you used to draw like all the time. Yeah, some of that shit was super weird. Like, I ain't even gonna hold you.
Angel wings. What do you think? And you were like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah.
You know by the response.
I would walk around the projection booth singing, and he would be
Yep.
like, "People can hear you in the theaters, and you're not very good." And I was like, "Oh, damn." Dude, say that so I would stop. Like, "Hey, people can hear you." I'd be like, but if you said,
Yeah.
"Hey, you're not good at it," then I'd be like, "Ah, damn it," and I would never do it again.
Man, right. Running projection or having a shift in projection was so much fun. Like,
Oh my God, dude.
God.
I always say the dream job was being like 22 years old and being a 35 millimeter projection supervisor. I wrote my own schedule. It's like, no, I got to work. I can't work on Wednesdays. I got church. And I was watching South Park.
Oh, okay. So I don't know if you know this, Connor. Hold on, because we're gonna talk about this for a second. This nigga. So when I started,
Oh no, I got church.
because I got close with he and I became friends, and I'm a technology geek.
We got in
and
trouble for hanging out outside of work.
We did actually.
Because he was the
up-
projection manager and I was the projection
Yeah.
supervisor.
Yep, I ended up being projection manager, and so I was like, I want you to be here on Wednesdays because we got to do, we want to get these builds done. Because back in the day with 35 millimeter, it's not like these newfangled.
Yeah, they showed up
projectors,
Wednesday and Thursday.
Yeah, in cans,
Right.
we had to put them shits together, like, which was so much fun. Oh my God, it
it
seemed
took a long
daunting at
time.
first, but man, it was so much fun building prints. But yeah, so I'm like, I need you here on Wednesdays to do this. And he's like, I can't for religious reasons. And I'm like, religious reasons? This nigga, I don't never hear him talk about, so I'm like, okay, well,
He
what
said the
you
F-word
mean?
every other letter.
And he was super serious, right? Because I was like, well, what religion? What you mean? And he was super serious. Well, you can't ask me that. Like, it doesn't matter. It's just religious reasons. And I'm like, okay, well, damn, he's right. I'm not going to press him on this. And then come to find out, months later, this motherfucker was calling off, yes, to watch South Park, because that's when South Park came on back in the day. It was on Wednesday night. And he didn't have a DVR like everybody else at the time, so he needed to be at home to watch.
That's good.
Oh, oh my God!
So he was just worshiping. What was that South Park episode? Hail Lord, Lord Zenu or
the Hail
Zenu, or
Satan. No, it was Hail Satan.
well,
The
that
Critter
too.
Christmas.
There's a couple episodes.
this the Christmas critters, yeah. But there
Oh,
was
yeah, those things are
Xenu,
crazy.
Hail Lord
Xenu.
Xenu. That
Hail
was
That's
Lord
what I'm talking
Zenu.
about.
we had a whole thing about the. Remember the Xenu doctrine?
Oh God!
Once you reach level, we came up with. Once you reach level like 74 in Scientology, they just slide an envelope. Wow, an envelope over to you, and inside it is a note that says "Xenu is reals."
Maybe watch out.
Oh man, and you know what? All that came about. Oh my God! See, this whole thing is just so good because like it will just have so many stories to tell. We went to the mall.
My hiring story yet.
Oh my
Right.
God! Okay, I'm so sorry. Okay, I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna be done, and then you can go.
No, I'm just saying we've digressed.
Yeah, we have, and again, I got because we're in 23
Keep
minutes
going.
so far. Like, okay,
Oh,
so
God.
we on the clock. All right, but like, remember, Joey, we were at the mall. I think we were at Northgate Mall one time, and we walked by. We walked by the Scientology booth, and those people tried to like, you want a free Thetan reading or whatever? And Joey's like, no, thank you. Hail Lord Xenu. Those people like ran back to their little. So funny. Oh my God. Okay. All right. Go ahead, Joey. You tell your story. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
All right. So I was working third shift at Perkins. Oh, sorry if I shouldn't have said that, but I was working third shift at Perkins on 75 North in Tylersville. You know, the one that burned down, and they rebuilt it, and they brought me back. Yeah, they burned down while I was working there. Not while I was there, but it burned down, and then they sent me to the Sharonville location. And they called me one day, and they're like, "Hey, the Tylersville location is going to open back up. Do you want to come back to Tylersville?" And I was like, "Fuck yeah," because it was like 10 less miles. And they're like, "Okay, well, we need a third shift cook." And I was like, "Okay, cool." So I was their third shift cook, which meant basically making breakfast food for drunk people and truckers and cops. And my main server that always worked there, her name was Dolores. She was a supervisor at the Dub C, and she worked there daytime, and then third shift worked at Perkins. And she was always talking to me about movies and stuff because I was super into movies. And she's like, "Yeah, I work at this theater, and the projectionists have me watch movies sometimes when I'm off work, and I get paid for it." And I was like, "What?" And she's like, "Yeah, they pay me to watch movies." And I was like, "What?" And she's like, "Yeah." And I was like, "What?" And she's like, "They do it. You want to come watch a movie with me tomorrow night?" And so I went with her and her boyfriend and watched Real Big Fish for free at like 1 o'clock. Is that the name of the movie? That's not. That's the band.
I think it's just called
Big
Big Fish.
Yeah.
Real Big Fish is the band. I watched Big Fish. It's got Ewan McGregor in it.
Yeah, I think it's just
Yeah.
Big Fish.
Yeah.
I
Hello
believe.
there.
Yeah.
Big Fish.
Yeah, okay. So Real Big Fish is the band. Big Fish was the movie. So I went and watched Big Fish with them, and I was like, "Oh, like, I don't think this is legal," because I didn't know. You know what I mean? And like we just walked into the back through the back concession area, and she went out and she's like, "Okay," and she pulled her phone out and she's like, "We're in theater or whatever." We walked down to this theater and went inside and sat down, and we had all this food because we went to the gas station. And I was like, "This is like wrong. Like, did we break into this place and we're just hanging?" I'm like, "Am I about to be killed or something?" And then the movie just started playing, and I was like, okay. And so I had all this food, like beef jerky and like chips and like drinks and stuff. And I'm like, this is not the way that a movie theater is supposed to happen, right? And
Yeah.
we watched the whole movie. Nobody came in. Like, I was all worried somebody was going to come in. And at some point, a guy came in and in a suit. And I was like, oh, fuck, the FBI's here. And it was like a manager. And he stood there and just like watched the movie for a little while, looked at us, and then left. And I was like, what in the fuck is this? And like we went out back, we were standing there smoking a cigarette, and I was like, is this real? Like, what in the fuck? And she's like, oh yeah, we do this all the time. I just got paid. And I'm like, this is magic. Are you guys hiring? And she's like, oh yeah, we need people really bad. And I was like, what do you do here? And she goes, I'm a concession supervisor. And I was like, okay, what do you guys need? And she's like, we need somebody that can just work like Monday through Friday in the morning. And I was like, who the fuck do I talk to? And she's like, oh, come on, I'll get you an application. I filled it out and put it in the box thing, and they called me the next morning. I was there at noon to interview with
Oh, wow.
April Moat, who was the lead manager. She wasn't the general manager.
Mm.
Okay. I got a good story about that, dude, but she was the lead manager. Okay. And you guys won't know any of these people because they, like I said, we had back when that place first opened, the turnover was outrageous. And I worked Monday through Friday, open to like 5 concession by myself most of the time. Like, I was just the concession guy. And one day a dude came up to me and he was like, you're going to be a projectionist. And I was like, okay. And he goes, what, are you afraid? And I was like, no. But anyways, this was my interview. I went in to interview, okay, and I sat down and I was wearing a shirt and a tie. I chose not to wear a suit jacket, right, because I wasn't interviewing for a manager. I knew what I was interviewing for. They needed a concession person during the daytime, during the week. Like, I don't need to wear a suit to do that, right? So I went in, was wearing a nice shirt, nice tie, was wearing nice pants, nice shoes, right? I sat down and she goes, Dolores told me about you. And I was like, yeah. And she goes, what's your favorite movie? And I said, well, it's kind of a tie between Empire Strikes Back and Princess Mononoke. And she said, why? And I took like 10 minutes explaining it to her. And she looked me dead in the eye and said, why shouldn't I hire you? And I said, because I don't want to work third shift and you don't need that. And she started laughing and she goes, okay, when can you start? And I said, I got to shift my sleeping schedule around. I can probably start for you in 2 days. And she said, okay, great. And that's how I started in movie theaters. I worked in movie theaters for 16 years and I loved it, but it turned into a nightmare.
Well, and that stuff can happen. That actually was a perfect way to end this because we actually are approaching that 30-minute mark. That was perfect, man. Dang, that was good story. Unless somebody else had something else before we get out of here for this episode.
No, I'm
Good?
cool.
No, I'm good, man.
All right, what's up?
Yeah, I think I'm set. There was something
Okay,
earlier,
so-
but I don't even remember anymore. That was a good story, Joey.
Thank you. Sometimes I
Um,
miss just like cleaning theaters. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I know it sounds crazy, but I miss little shit. I don't miss fucking, a lot of stuff, but I enjoy cleaning theaters.
Same way.
Just talking to the usher crew and stuff, because the usher crew was always awesome.
Yeah.
Yep.
Especially if you went in there and worked with them all the time, then they respected you and they were cool with you,
And then you go and promote one from an usher supervisor to manager, and he comes in with a $400 suit, hand tailored.
Yeah.
But that's a tale for another day.
For another
You guys know what
day.
I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yes. But
we
we're gonna
do.
talk about him. But yeah, so next week I think we're gonna do. I think we said we're gonna do like celebrity stories. So we're gonna do if you've met a celebrity, if a celebrity came through the theater, or whatever else, something like that.
There's always going to be a random story that pops in there, of course.
Oh, for sure. It'll be
Yeah.
that's gonna be a normal flow of the thing. We'll have kind of a theme, and it's going to seg because that's what we do. Because as we talk, it's just going, yeah. And it may be the three of us next week. Yeah. We may have some more people with us next week. We'll see who's going to be on board. But
I hope there's
that's,
4 or 5 of us so we can sing some Backstreet Boys together.
oh my God, he really trying to have a boy band. Lord,
It's
But
funny
we're
because when we get to that next episode, my person includes somebody from a boy band. So stay tuned.
Nice.
Ooh.
Look, spoilers. Oh goodness,
Ooh.
because yeah, okay. All right. So yeah, we out of here for this week, y'all. But yeah, you'll we'll be back next week with another episode of Work Tales. Woohoo!
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, thank you.